head to New Orleans in just a couple of weeks. Then another iconic circuit in Road Atlanta, Watkins Glen to come, Mid-Ohio, Road America. COTA is where it all finishes, but this is where it all begins. Somewhat aptly, a plane taking off in the background. They've been racing here since 1950. It's the home of the 12 Hours of Sebring, and also where Trans Am began back in March 1966 when Jochen Rindt, who went on to become a Formula One world champion, took the first win. We had Richard Petty here with his grandson yesterday. We had the name of Parnelli Jones's relatives in Jager Jones today. Doesn't get any better. We're coming out of sunset and we're getting ready to go racing. Joe Stevens alongside me, Jonathan Green, for the first race of the year. Watch out for the all-yellow Dodge on the left-hand side, trying to get him jump on Justin Marks, but it's Marks who's on the mark straight away down the inside. The Jim Wheat cars right behind, one in pink, one in purple. They look to the inside, but it is going to be Justin Marks. Good start from Thwaites. Here comes Tommy Dreesy trying to make up places early on. Expect Tommy Dreesy to come through the pack. He loves to race like this. We go on board for the first time with Chris Dyson, who does go into second place behind Justin Marks. Good clean start, Joe.
Yep, absolutely. Chris Dyson made the most of that start, utilizing the inside line and being able to push out his competition. Now he's staring down Justin Marks, and the race is on.
Got to be careful in this opening lap. We saw it at a restart yesterday in TA2 with Connor Mosack. Made a mistake, and it looked to me as though it was just his tyre temperature wasn't quite there. So you've got to kind of tiptoe for this first lap, regardless of the actual track temperature and ambient temperature. You never know if the tyres are quite there.
Absolutely. You got to get that tire temp in there to maximize the grip. Amy Ruman, great start. Looks like she's held her position. And that red Chevrolet is looking great as always.
Ken Thwaites has announced that this will be his last season. He's only been racing in TA a couple of years, but in that time he has become a very accomplished driver. Of course, he was a champion in the first ever XGT championship for production cars in his Audi R8 a couple of years ago. He's taken to this brilliantly, but he's now got a big team and he's got a lot to manage, so he's deciding that this could be his swan song. But here, knowing him, the Franklin Road man will want to go out on a high. We wish him well. Ken Thwaites looking for a good result out of the first race of the year. We look high above Sebring, the lake in the distance, the airport just ahead of the racetrack, which stands below as we head into the final complex and on to 17. A very tricky corner here and into the Ullman Straight. Got to get that right as already Marks already weaving from side to side. Now, is that more to get more temperature into tires, even under racing conditions?
Yep, so what he's trying to do is he's just trying to build heat in that tire. He knows the car's telling him, you don't have the tires up yet, you better get on it. He's got a great spread right now, but Chris Dyson isn't going anywhere, and the competition is on. These cars really roar.
Slightly quicker, Justin Marks, a 2:05.0 to a 2:05.8 from Chris Dyson. So even though he was weaving from side to side, Matt Brabham in third, Bernard in fourth, Boris Said up to fifth place, Andretti in sixth, then Ruman, two-time champion Amy Ruman in seventh place in the McNichols Corvette, then Keith Grant coming into the series last year and looking to make a real name for himself, having got that podium first time out at VIR. Then in ninth position is Ken Thwaites, we're on board a moment ago, and then David Pintarek. Shout out to his new cameraman Brian, who I met this morning. He'll be taking the pictures for David. On board that with Chris Dyson. And what do you see when you watch this racing drive? Everybody talks so glowingly about Chris Dyson and the way he's racing.
Oh man, he's smooth. He's getting the most out of the brakes. We just saw him go into turn 7. Threshold braking, getting that car slowed down without locking up any of the tires, which is really a work of art in itself. Hitting the apex bolt in the entrance and exit right on his marks. And he's flying. He's flying. We got a separation of about 1 second between him and the leader. And like I said before, the race is on right now. It is getting heated.
I don't want to put the muckers on Tommy Dreesy, who we're on board with now, and he's already chasing down the 74. But there was a little bit of notice of possible blue smoke coming out of the back. Now, he does tend to be and run a sort of smoky mixed as Tommy Dreesy, so I've been fooled by that in the past. But we'll keep an eye on Tommy Dreesy. I always keep an eye on Tommy Dreesy because you just never know what's going to happen with Tommy.
Oh yeah, he's honestly, he's running a great program. The car just looks incredible this year. It always does. And that's the freedom of this rule book, is you can do things with the engine. You can do things that you might not be able to in other classes. And Dreesy's taking the most of it. He's already passed a bunch of cars. He's catching up to the TA field from starting from the back. And this is looking like it's really exciting. Now Ken under pressure as well going into 17. Oh, Ken makes the pass. Excellent.
Yeah, this is a great battle for the three of them. Dreesy at the back of this group. Dreesy, of course, coming through the field bit by bit. He's had to start at the back, and he's already made it up several places. So we'll watch this battle as it unfolds. But Dreesy now in 12th place. Butson it is, Matthew Butson and Ken Thwaites. Thwaites under big pressure, as you can see, as they dive into turn one. Dreesy, though, trying to get back. The more I look at that Lucas car, wow, there's the smoke, I suppose, that we're talking about. Or was that dust and dirt just when he's running it quite low?
Well, it's quite... He was loading up that right rear tire going through one, and the speed and the G-force of these cars is just incredible. It could just be a little bit of body work or the undercarriage of the car touching and scraping the ground. It looks like he's not babying that car in any way, so I'm assuming it's a non-issue, and it'll more or less just buff itself out as the race goes on. But he's making a move now into 7 on the inside, and it doesn't look like it's going to stick this time, but he's going to keep on knocking on the door until they open it up.
This is great stuff from Tommy Dreesy. We're getting a bird's eye view straight on board with him. You can see the revs at the bottom. You can see the speed over 147, 51 miles an hour as he goes for the overtake. Brilliantly done as we were on board, and that's how you do it in Trans Am racing, Tommy.
Yeah, and luckily the outside driver gave him a little bit of space. That was really close. It was a really direct move, and now he's staring down Ken, so we're going to see what's happened. My guess is he's going to make a similar move here shortly.
And while we were watching that, Matthew Brabham is channeling his father Jeff, because he's got so many accolades, his dad, around this circuit. He just did a 2:06. That was almost 2 seconds quicker than Dyson in that last lap. So I don't know whether he missed a corner or he's just firing on all cylinders. But why?
Dreesy's out. Yeah,
he gets it all right and gets it all wrong.
Hasn't lost much position, though, going through 16. It looks like with some speed, but he did track left there. Not quite sure what the issue, if anything major. We'll see here in just a second.
There is Matthew Brabham running in third at the moment. Here are the leaders. Justin Marks leading the way from Chris Dyson. They come across the line again at 2:01.9 from Justin Marks.
Ooh, lock up from Justin Marks into one on the left front. He could have been really late in the brakes, but you can see Dyson and the Jim Week cars are really pushing the pressure now. So this is going to be exciting. Ken, Justin, hang on here. We're still really early into this race, too.
Yeah, Dyson Racing really pushing on Justin Marks. If you didn't feel the pressure before, somebody parked up one of the Corvettes. It could be Pierce or possibly Aaron Pierce, or possibly the older car, which is Haley Bryson's car. She was down in 22nd coming into this race. Her debut.
I think that may have been Aaron Pierce. Okay. I'm not totally sure. SGT car looks like it possibly stopped on track, but it is a safe distance away from the racing line, but unknown if that'll be a full course yellow or not.
27-lap race, and as we mentioned before, it's a full sprint, really. Here comes Dreesy now on Thwaites. He got past him, made a mistake, but has recovered well. Tommy Dreesy from Hollywood, California. He works in the biz of filmmaking, and he always has the script ready. And of course, he's got MAV TV already on the car, so if you want to see his highlights, tune in on Thursday, because that's where you'll find Tommy Dreesy.
Yep, it's great to see Ken, who lacks a little bit of raw pace. He doesn't lack in that racecraft. It doesn't look like he's driving his car too hard. Hopefully right now he's just managing the gap between the cars in front and Dreesy behind, and he's going to keep as much of that tire on the car as possible. But Dreesy is not having it as he tries to close the gap headed towards Bishop's Bend.
Yeah, just keep an eye on the other championships. Danny Lowry leading in XGT. Nathan Bird right behind him, second in XGT. Then in SGT, it's also keeping an eye on the Florida man, former champion Lee Saunders, as we take a look at the 88 coming through shot. That's Nathan Bird now, who, of course, is in XGT and chasing down Danny Lowry.
Yeah, incredible racing thus far. Looking at this, the top of the front field as they rage past start-finish, these cars are absolutely flying. Adam Andretti just had his fastest lap, and he's closing the gap to Paul Menard in front. It'll be interesting to see how those guys shake around for the next few laps.
Great racing at the front. Just also to finish off in GT, Billy Griffin chasing down the two other DTs of Tyler Hoffman and Chris Coffey, and Chris Dyson in second place now, trying to put the hurt on Justin Marks. And wow, it's amazing how here at Sebring they allow the racing to continue and keep it at a sort of a local yellow like that while they clear up the debris. But Sebring, well known for their safety, bidden the 12 hours, and given the experience and the number of years they've been doing it, they may take to, a way of doing things that is different than others, but They're still racing, and that's what we love.
Yeah, huge hats off to the safety workers here at Sebring International Raceway and everybody that make these events come together. Dreesy looking to the inside. It doesn't look like he's going to make it stick this time, but you can tell he's running out of patience. He wants to catch up, and Ken is under serious pressure right now.
Yeah, you know, Tommy doesn't want to hold back. He doesn't like to race behind anybody for too long. He likes to get ahead and doesn't like to see cars going off in the distance. He's done such a good job to get up to this point, but now he's kind of come to a stop, if you will, in terms of progress anyway. And so he wants past Thwaites as well as quick as he can. But Ken Thwaites, as he's shown in the past, is no mean fella when he's behind the wheel of a TA car. He's a lovely fella out of it, but he's a mean racer when he's in it. Tommy Dreesy, though, doesn't take prisoners. Let's see what happens. Over 140 miles an hour as they go through Bishop and down towards 17. A crucial corner here to get right. Tommy takes a very tight line, and here he comes now into that right-hander.
Yeah, you see that right now. Tommy's using every bit of the track, whereas Ken is kind of cutting those corners a little too shallow. He's not quite getting to the inside or outside curving, and it's going to leave Dreesy another opportunity to make a move on the Franklin Road Apparel Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, he's not going to quite pull it off this. He ducked in behind him, try and get a draft as they go into Sunset again. And he'll live to fight again. And here comes Dreesy. He got a tighter line out of Sunset. And is the sun going down on Ken Thwaites' hopes, I wonder, because here comes Dreesy.
Outside, turn one. Here comes Dreesy. Fold in, over, under move, late in the brakes. What's going to happen?
Here comes the Lucas number 8, and this is great vintage Dreesy driving. Excellent overtake.
Brilliant move. Brilliant move. Unfortunately, Ken's going to take a step backwards there, but now he's got a rabbit in front of him, and that is Tommy Dreesy in that bright blue MAV TV car, and it is flying. Let's see if he can hang on.
Yeah, having watched Ken a few years now, Ken likes actually these situations because he knows it's a long way to go. He's only 6 of the 27 gone yet. He just wants to kind of now, like you say, he's got somebody to reference in front of him now, and he'll try not to lose sight of Tommy, but Tommy is already 3 or 4 car lengths as they dive into the Bridgehall corner, into that right-hander, and get back on the power. You see him go sideways there, using all 850 plus horsepower as we go back to this battle at the front, and it really is just that. Brabham still behind Dyson, and then leading the way is Justin Marks, but for how long, I wonder. Dyson really reeling him in now. Nothing between them as they come down through this track and at the back, and look how close they are. They're coming through some of the traffic now.
Yep, and Brabham still with the fastest lap thus far in the race, but both Justin Marks and Chris Dyson are running 2:01.8s, and these cars are absolutely flying, so there's really nothing to be split between the two. It's anybody's race at this point.
Yeah, I'm looking at the times. 2:01.8 last time out for Justin Marks. Chris Dyson a 2:01.8, so they're all on the same kind of pace. Brabham, of course, on the same pace. Boris said now up to 4th place. As we've watched this 3-way battle, don't count out Boris said. He's coming and coming fast. He just did a 2:02.1, so he's quicker than the guys ahead of him in that Dodge Challenger. Now, will he challenge, I wonder? We'll see him in a moment, but no question about it. Here comes Boris said, and he's taking Adam Andretti with him.
We've got 2 Jim Weed Ford Mustangs knocking on the door of Justin Marks right now. There's less than a second that separates the 3 of those cars, and I don't know what's going on, but it's possible Justin Marks has driven the car a little too early, a little too hard in the early stages, and now Dyson's going to have an opportunity, but it looks like right now they're playing the waiting game, and they're going to wait for Justin to drive off a little bit, and we'll see what happens.
So far, caution-free. I'll probably now put the muckers on it, but it's Marks, Dyson, Brabham, Said, Andretti. Good start from Boris Said. Really good start. They dropped Menard down to 6th, but he's still in contention. Then it's Grant in 7th, Ruman 8th, Pitarik in 9th. Dreesy is up to 10th now. He's got ahead of Thwaites. Then it's Butson. Dollenbach in the Masters car in 13th. And yes, that is Wally Dollenbach out there again.
The stability of those Ford Mustang Jim Weed cars is really great into the brake zones. Those cars look really healthy. It's a different story with Justin right now is what it looks like. He's a little bit more nervous, the rear of the car under those big braking, and Dyson's able to constantly close that gap under braking, and it looks like it's fairly effortless.
Yeah, you know, obviously there's a lot of development going on with Justin Marks and his team, and I think they were not surprised, but I think they were surprised at how quick they were in just a 1 lap to get the pole like that. So still in development for him, and we'll see whether, you know, they dial it in better as the season goes on. Back in the pits, though, is that the car we saw stuck out on track? I think it is. Is it Aaron Pierce?
So.
I think it is.
Yep, it is. It's Aaron Pierce in the SGT Chevrolet Corvette. And, oh no, is that Kaylee? I think
it is
that might be
Bryson,
Kaylee.
yeah, her first run.
Yep, and that car is actually owned by the Aaron Pierce Group.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it looks like a retirement for her. She's in pit lane. It looks like about to exit the vehicle. The number 26 is out.
All I can say is welcome aboard. She's from Oklahoma. She's a dirt tracker by heart. That's how she started out. And this was her first ever Trans Am debut. So really, really impressive. She's also done some SVRA this weekend to really get herself dialed in. So good experience. I don't know why the car came to a halt, but we'll find out, I'm sure, as we finally get a look at Boris Said with Andretti all over the back of him. This is a good battle. Boris Said versus Adam Andretti. Two great American race names going at it. Boris Said Jr., his son, racing also in TA2 this year. And Boris is a car he's driven as well behind him in Menard's car, of course, both prepared by Poncho Weaver. But Boris Said the older he gets, the quicker he is.
Well, I got to be honest, Tommy Andretti in the all-Grant Ford Mustang, I'm rooting for him. I think he's got a real opportunity here, and he's chasing down a car that he's actually driven before.
That's right.
So it'll be interesting to see how argy-bargy they get as the race goes on.
Absolutely. Well, Adam Andretti has won in pretty much every mark there is in Trans Am. He's had a bumper weekend this weekend, jumping in to this car, which is, of course, the car of Humaid Massoud, coming in as a replacement when Humaid couldn't make it, but he also has a regular run in TA2. Busy year then ahead for Adam Andretti. Good battle, though, this between he and Boris Said, as Menard also finding his way through traffic in that Dayglow Weaver Challenger, beautifully prepared. I was actually talking to Nathan Hearn. He loves those challenges too. I know he's out there in the Mustang, but your guy, he's got a bit of a soft spot for those challenges.
Absolutely, he won the championship. It looks like Ken Thwaite's a little off track there, and he might be being passed right now. But you're right, Nathan Hearn won a championship in TA2 Australia, and that was in a Dodge Challenger.
I wonder why I've often been asked this, why the Challengers are more prominent both in history and modern identity. Somebody else parked up. Is that Amy Ruman?
I think that was Amy Ruman.
Could have been Amy Ruman.
Amy Ruman, and it looked like a bit of track debris on the exit of 15. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened there. We'll get a replay shortly, but it looks like there's possibility that Amy Ruman has run into some problems.
Justin Marks continues to lead in TAH. That's the historic Trans Am. Wally Dallenbach leading in that. XGT is led by Danny Lowry, and GT is in the lead with Tyler Hoffman at the moment. And SGT, as we mentioned already, Kylie Bryson is out.
Adam
we do
Andretti.
have a full course yellow.
Yep, full course caution, just as Adam Andretti and that all-Grant Ford Mustang had its own personal fast lap. So he is definitely trying to reel in Boris Said. The top 5 in this class, incredible. And with this restart, you never know what's going to happen.
Joe, I'm glad I got you here, because in a caution situation, either you or one of the chief engineers will get on the radio. What, as a team, do you tell your driver, and does it vary from driver to driver?
It does, it totally does. Usually what you're going to tell for a front-running driver is what is the pace of the cars around me. If you would have a delta or a split, average split between the car in front and the car behind, that's the real critical data that the driver would need. But there also might be, hey, run up to the pit wall, take a look at my splitter, do I have a tire rub, evaluate the conditions of the car, and then you're going to be getting information on the car of what is the car doing, reminding the driver, hey, check your brake bias, how much front brakes do you have in relationship to the rear brakes, and all of those things.
We had the question about Kaylee Bryson. Let's find out what happened to her bench down in the pits with her.
Well, I'm with Kaylee Bryson down here in the pits. It seemed like you were pretty fast there at first. What happened, Kaylee?
Yeah, I think we were experiencing some motor problems. It wasn't running quite like it should and making some weird noises. So decided to pull it in, would rather not blow it up, and diagnose the problem and fix it for next race.
So first impressions of your first Trans Am race, how did it go?
It was pretty good. You know, I did the TA2 car in SVRA today and ran 9th, and you know, just kind of starting slow before we jump in with the TA2 and all the big guns, because these guys are really experienced, and this is a really, really top-notch form of racing. So just getting my feet wet right now. This is my first road course race, so looking forward to the next time.
Perfect. Kaylee Bryson, thank you. Sorry for the luck, but gentlemen, back up to you.
Great stuff, and just a little footnote. Yes, she's just getting her feet wet, but I think we're going to be hearing that name. That is the only female ever in the history of the Chili Bowl, the famous dirt track race, to make the feature race 2 years in a row. She is going places. Watch out for Kaylee Bryson from Oklahoma. As we're under caution, we're going to take a short break from Sebring. We'll be right back at the resumption of this race here in TA. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway here in Central Florida. We're under caution here in our TA race. 10 laps gone on the 27th, so we're not at the business end just yet, but we're at a critical stage as we're on board with Tommy Dreese, who's made good progress, and he'll be actually quite enjoying the chance to maybe just take a break. He's behind David Tarek, and he's got a chance of scoring some big points here today. An important race, start of the season. You don't want to be losing points early on. He got a penalty after an infringement before the race even started. 3 drivers, including Kylie Bryson, actually pinged for that infringement. And so Dreese starting way back than his qualifying position. They qualified late evening last night, little cooler conditions, but Tommy at the moment doing a good job of keeping in the hunt, and that's what it's all about. But a good start also from Andretti and Boris Said as they chase down the top 3. Alongside me is Joe Stevens, and Joe, as we've got a little time under caution, your thoughts so far on the first race of the year?
This is just so intense. Starting off, these cars are door to door, and I have to ask you the question, Jonathan, what's going to happen if Brabham's pace continues to be better than Dyson's? Is there any team orders in that group?
You know, it's a very good question, because I really don't know how Dyson would play that, because at this stage of the year, with the confidence he's got in his own abilities, I actually think he would let Brabham go through if he knew that Brabham's car was faster. Because more importantly to Dyson right now is having the team win the race and him finishing second, and he's got more chance of that happening if Brabham can win the race.
Yeah, I think, you know, Chris Dyson as a driver and as a guy, he's so true grit with his racing that he's not going to allow a team order to, you know, present itself and change the running order. I think what he's going to do is, if he's going to win or he's going to place better than his teammates, he's going to earn it.
You know, I don't want to toot his horn too much, but, you know, I've watched Matthew Brabham over the years. I've watched him in SVRA. I've watched him win in every single-seater Formula and Super Trucks. He's been a world champion in that. There isn't anything he gets into that he doesn't win in, including Trans Am. He's such a talent. He's still at the height of his game in Indy Lights. He was vying for the championship last year, Indy Next as it's called now. He could absolutely throw himself into a 500 situation in a single-seater, if not an Indy car. I mean, if he had a bag of money, what this kid could do, I have no idea. I know he has that famous name, just like an Andretti, but boy, does he talk the talk and walk the walk. What a guy. There isn't anything he can't do.
Now, I'm telling you right now, we're seeing it play out right in front of us as they continue to scrub their tires and keep them clean and up to temp, entering turn 17 behind the Honda Civic safety car. So anything can happen at this point in time. I think what we'll see here in the coming lap here is if there's any lap traffic, we're going to have a lucky dog effect where the slower cars are going to hit pit lane and the pack. So when we do go green, it's all business in front of you. There's no lap traffic. Everything is going to be for position.
Let's head down to the pit lane, and obviously leading the race, Justin Marks. Let's hear what the latest is from his camp with Ben Sissel.
JJ talking to Justin Marks. What's he sound like on the radio?
He sounds real good. The car's, you know, it's hot out there, so the track's real greasy and slick, so forward bite's a problem. You know, we're working on trying to get the brakes right. You know, it's got a little bit of a long pedal, so he's just going to try to deal with it for now and go from there.
Now, there's 2 cars coming back, and they look like they're just hunting him down. What are you saying about that?
Yeah, I'm giving him every lap, you know, how far they are behind him, and obviously Matty just moved into second, and I know he was coming pretty hard, so we're going to find out, you know, what we got here. So I don't know if the Dyson had team orders or not, but we're going to find out.
Good insight there from Showtime Motorsports. Gentlemen, back up to you.
Oh, that's fighting talk. I'm loving it. And I'm also very interested to see what Boris said. If I know Boris, he'll see this as a huge opportunity, as will Adam Andretti, to get past or at least fight with Dyson, because the gap that he was going to have to you know, come back at the top 3 on, has now gone down to nothing. So it's all about this restart, and Boris said knows what he's doing in those situations. Then again, so does Brabham and Dyson.
Yeah, we just saw JJ with JRI. He's working with Justin Marks this year. And talk about the talent that these TA1 teams have. And JJ's a great example of that. And he's kind of calling it out as he sees it. He's not sure what team orders are going on in the Dyson group, but he obviously sees that his driver's having a little bit of trouble with the brakes. We saw that lockup from Justin Marks into turn 1 earlier, talking about a long pedal, which means the braking performance of that car is being reduced as the track temps and that greasy track seems to increase. So things are going to get a little crazy, I think, on this restart.
Well, we're hearing from race control that the restart will be this lap as we tiptoe through the trees. And a beautiful day here at Sebring. Hardly a gust of wind here, and that's rare. So it's hot though, and I'm sure physically, am I right in saying you even get hotter when you're under safety because you don't get the air through the car?
Absolutely, and so the brakes, they may cool off just a little bit because we're not hammering them for the 17 turns of Sebring International Raceway, but everything else starts to heat soak, and that includes the driver. Track temp about 95 degrees Fahrenheit today, so it is certainly a greasy track surface.
On board again with Tommy Dreesy. He'll be looking forward from 9th position to get a restart and get a jump on David Pintarak. But Pintarak almost enjoying his racing more than ever. He had an illness last year that he thought might curtail him racing any further, but he's back in action and delighted to be back in the famous 57.
It's the generator.
Justin Marks, Matt Brabham, Chris Dyson down the Almond Straight, keeping the temperature in the tires. Interesting what you say about the brakes, absolutely right. It's not much else cools down, but only just. And they're still red hot, I'm sure, when they get to the restart. But a little bit of weaving to get the mechanical grip in the tires as we come down towards sunset again.
Yeah, lights are off. The Honda Civic safety car, we're about to go green, entering turn 17. The safety car will peel off into pit lane, and here comes the action, to say the least.
Well, I wouldn't say that Justin Marks is inexperienced, but in Trans Am terms, he's probably not done too many restarts, especially from the front, and he's got the maestro behind him in Chris Dyson and Brabham, who is due another win. But here comes Boris Said and Adam Andretti. Paul Menard behind. It doesn't come any more star-studded for our restart here in TA.
Here we go, and David Pintarak making big moves on the inside, and we are hauling the mail into turn 1 right now. Running order for the first 3. Looks like we're going to have some changes as we're 3 wide into turn 1.
Boris Said squeezing him down. Pintarak, as you say, went to the outside. Dreesy to the inside. Excuse me, to the outside. Now back in line, and he's behind Menard, who got a scintillating restart and has gone ahead of Tommy Dreesy. So it's all change at the front, but a good restart from Justin Marks, just what he wanted as he heads under the bridge and down towards 6 and 7 for the restart time on lap 12. Almost halfway through this race now, and things starting to hot up nicely.
Yep, as they fly into turn 7. Now we're going to be testing those brakes, which were just heat soaking a little bit, but it looks like the running order stays the same, but Dreesy is all over that car in front.
Yeah, Paul Menard, who of course is another one who's come back to Trans Am after racing in many other series. I'd say take some time off, but he did, you know, dribs and drabs of TA racing, sort of dipped his toe back in, and he too, once he got a Poncho Weaver car, like Boris said, rejoining the old team, if you like, is back with a vengeance. But there is the Lucas number 8, Tommy Dreesy.
Yeah, such a great looking Ford Mustang, right behind that Poncho Weaver car, and these guys are flying through the high-speed turn, 140-mile-an-hour entry speeds, and then look at the decel rate, hard on the brakes again as they go into the 14, 15, 16 complex, which is where we saw Amy Ruman have that problem earlier.
Well, I mentioned that Trans Am started its history here back in '66, and it's Ford Mustang versus Chevrolet Camaro versus Dodge Challenger. Some 57 years later, just as we wanted, here we go. Marks into sunset. All over him is the number 20 Jim Weed of Chris Dyson, the champion. He takes a very tight line and gets as close to Marks as he's been.
Absolutely on his bumper right now. We could see an over-under like we saw before into turn 1. Dyson eyeing the inside. Gets a fender on him.
Brabham in second. My foul. It is Matthew Brabham at the restart. Caught me out because the pink and the purple very similar. So now it is Brabham who's going after Marks. And I think actually at the restart that was probably planned as we talked about, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think what they're going to try to do is get Matt right behind Justin Marks and really try to put the pressure on. Right now, Chris Dyson doesn't have any real competition behind him, a good gap, so he can just take it a little bit easier. Let's just see how much of the equipment we can get Justin Marks to use, and then maybe team orders will play again where Chris Dyson will pass them both.
Yeah, that's another thing we didn't actually mention because you use Brabham as the hare, as the aggressor. He's not going to be doing the championship for the whole season, so Dyson could sit back and watch them fight it out, and like you say, use their equipment, and then team orders perhaps may come into play later. But I think Brabham will just try to take the lead and try to help his buddy get into second place. Meanwhile, Boris Said, though, is changing the game a little bit in fourth place because Dyson may be looking ahead, but he needs to look in the mirrors as well because here comes Andretti and Boris Said as well.
Yep, Andretti's done a great job keeping the tire underneath him. That Ford Mustang from Allgram is looking really great, and these cars are flying in again to the turn 14, 15, 16 complex, which is a super technical part of this track, and they are nose to tail.
I have to say, hats off to Justin Marks. He's soaking up the pressure here. He's done 13 laps at this pace, and he's been under immense pressure from first Dyson and now Brabham, who definitely is a stronger aggressor when it comes to challenging at the moment. Let's see where and when he goes for it.
Look at these bumps, too, as these cars bounce up and down. And we're seeing the move to the inside. Matt Brabham on the 99 of Justin Marks. Is he going to be in front coming the exit of turn 17?
Well, I said aggressive. That was really impressive. I don't know if he's going to pull it off, but he's not quite held on to it, but he got a great inside line there, and they all bounce down the main straight past our commentary position. Dyson now in a struggle in the 16 Jim Wheat car to hold off Boris Said, but it's a five-way battle at the front because Andretti's joined it. This is TA Racing, folks.
This is the best that it gets. Look at the fireball come ripping out of the side of that Ford Mustang and the Jim Wheat driven by Chris Dyson. This is incredible. Justin Marks is doing his absolute best to maintain a solid racing line while playing defense. This is the chess game. This is the racecraft that they talk about.
I'll tell you what, racing purists, this is like go-kart racing with a 850 plus in the back. Unbelievable stuff. Great.
Yeah. Look at that Dodge Challenger, too. Beautiful car, absolutely in the hunt here. And this is going to be insane as those tires continue to go up. And there, you can't fit a piece of paper between the front, too. And we see another move to the inside again.
Classic overtake, and Brabham's going to make it stick, but Marks comes back at him.
Justin Marks.
That is great racing.
Yeah,
he said, no way, I'm not giving that place up.
Absolutely. He did not back down from the outside, and he stuck to it, and it's not going to be easy. This is great racing.
Dyson's slow. Dyson's suddenly gone from third to fifth in a matter of two bends.
You know, I'm not sure if that was a little bit of defensive play because they're racing so hard if they were to come together. But what's going on?
Nah, that's mechanical, surely.
Yes.
He's off the line, slowed right down, and yeah, he might have not wanted to go into the fray, but no, that is not what we want to see. And that is a big line for the headlines for the press release tonight because Dyson, the current champion, has been bulletproof in TA in the last couple of years. And his first venture out, to be fair, his season didn't start brilliantly last year and it just got steadily better. But that is real disaster for Chris Dyson. I'm sure Ben Sissel will be on it immediately. But meanwhile, Brabham is still like a dog with a bone with Justin Marks. And here comes Andretti. He's got past Boris Said. So in all of that going on, Andretti's got past Said. He's up to third, and he really wants this now. He wants to fly the flag for Dyson. He got this as a one-off drive, and now he can take it to Matthew Brabham. And I said to him when he was up here in commentary, I want a classic Brabham-Andretti fight. Two great names of motor racing from worldwide, different sides of the world, but two great proponents of motor racing in their family. And here we go again.
Lap 15 of 27. I think now we were talking about team orders. There can only be one with the Dyson crew, and that is go. Matt Brabham's got to keep the pressure on and take as many points as he can from that Franklin Road Apparel car. He's got to do everything he can to get in front of Justin Marks and stay there.
Yeah, well, he's been the aggressor since the restart, and he took that position away. Fooled me because I couldn't see it immediately, and I thought it was Dyson putting the pressure on, but of course it was Brabham. And in fact, that inside move was just absolutely brilliant, but he didn't quite pull it off, and he's still trying it. He might try it again this time.
And all the while, Adam Andretti just waits in the shadows as these two
there
cars.
it is. Stop.
Yep, it is. This could very well be another full course caution.
Yeah, well, he was trickling away. He was trickling down the track a little bit slowly, but now suddenly he stops up. So sadly for Chris Dyson, it's ended on track. Let's see if he's out of harm's way, or it means we're under safety. Now, meanwhile, Menard is in.
It looks like Menard fell back to 12th. And we are full course yellow here.
Yep. So again, we catch our breath, but there's a lot happen in the two full course yellows, the laps we've had in between. So Poncho Weaver is the man leaning down, just talking to Paul Menard, and says that Boris, we've heard that Boris said has a vibration in the car, and we're going to try to see if we can get a hold of either Poncho or Paul Menard, who's parked up. Obviously, we can't speak to Chris Dyson because he's out on track, but we might hear from what happened to Paul Menard. So it's all drama here. Joe Stevens, Johnny Green bringing the action from TA, and just like yesterday, we've got plenty of drama in this one, and it's far from over by any means. We are under caution.
I wonder what the story is with David Pinteric, who had just a dynamite start, jumped 2 to 3 places into turn 1, but now has also looked like he's fallen back several laps. I show 3+ laps on his timing and scoring sheet. So definitely a lot going on, drama, as you said, Jonathan, for sure.
Yeah, we lost Kaylee Bryson, we lost Amy Ruman, we've now lost Paul Menard. Boris said is complaining of vibration, that's why he's dropped a few places. Adam Andretti now up to 3rd place. Let's head down to Ben Sissel and see what the latest is and find out what happened to Paul Menard.
Hey, I'm here with Poncho Weaver, who builds these beautiful cars. And Poncho, last couple laps, I've been hearing some shifting problems down the front straight, but what's your driver saying is wrong?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It looks like we lost a dog ring in 4th gear, and some of the pieces might have come apart, and now it's affecting 2nd gear, so we really can't hold our own position. No reason to be out there and cause an issue for the guys that are really running for this program. And, Paul did a wonderful job this weekend. Techniques, Millennium, Steel It, all these guys that have been part of this thing. We can't do it by ourselves, and we need their help, but we're out for today. We'll be back, though.
Nice, and stay with me here because we saw Boris come by, and it looked like the front right fender of his car was shaking really bad. I've heard some bad vibration. And then Paul Menard, if you don't mind, man, this has got to be heartbreaking. I know you really want to have a good showing here, and it just seems like you've got some rough luck here.
That's all good. Poncho gave me the opportunity to come down here and we show that the Weaver chassis have speed. I had a little bit of trouble with 4th gear in qualifying yesterday, and it just won't stay in 4th gear today. It keeps popping out. And then it started popping out 2nd and 3rd gear also. So instead of hurting the engine, we're just going to park it.
Nice. Well, Paul Menard, I love having you in the series. I'm sorry about your luck here at Sebring. But let's run over here real quick, Tony, and talk to Boris Said's team, because I saw when Boris came by, that car was really shaking. So where's AJ? Hey, Stevie. So I saw Boris's front end. What's going on?
Well, I guess Dyson, something happened to Dyson. Boris zigged when he should have zagged, and he hit the back of Dyson and knocked some body work loose. We're telling him to go. Let it go.
So no tire rub. You think it's just that front? Maybe the little clasp came off or something?
Yeah, when I went out to the wall, it looks like the clasp came loose, and it's just shaking real hard on the right side. So we're gonna go. We're going for it.
I love it. And Joe Stevens, this is gonna go back to you. Stevie Ray, great crew member, and you know when it's heat on high here in these races. Explain that to the crowd if you don't mind.
He's saying, yeah, it's pretty heated down there, but you know what this is like.
Oh, absolutely. I've known Stevie for as long as I've been in Trans Am, and just to speak to all the talent and experience behind these TA1 cars, Stevie's another shining example of that. He's built some wonderful TA and TA2 cars in the past, and it sounds like there was some small contact, which is kind of the name of the game. And when you get to speed, that carbon fiber or Kevlar or fiber reinforced plastic pieces, they'll start to fly and flap around in the wind. If it's not disrupting the car and its performance or the driver's ability to maintain control of the vehicle, you're going to deal with it. It's going to affect the performance of straight line speed, certainly, Jonathan, but Really what it comes down to is if the car's going to drive, the driver's going to drive it.
Yeah. You know what's also come into play now? Tommy Dreese weaving from side to side in the all-blue Lucas. You see him there. He's now got he's got Boris Said in front of him, the man you're looking at right now, who's already complained of a few issues himself. So Dreese's got a chance. He's fifth at the moment to get into the top 4, then maybe challenge Andretti for 3rd. So Dreese's come right through the field, and with him has come Wally Dollenbach now up to 7th for the Historics. So it's a big day. Keith Grant is also in the mix. He's in 6th position. They've dropped Matthew Butson to 8th position. Ken Thwaites is 9th. Danny Lowry leading XGT. He's in 10th overall. But Nathan Bird is still with him in that battle. GT's led by Tyler Hoffman. And so we've got some great battles going all the way through, including in XGT as well. Aaron Pierce still out there running well. But so a real change around in terms of the actual battles as we go back on board with Tommy Dreese, who has gone from what looked like a bad day at the office to now a potential podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I may drop to SGT, Chris Coffey has moved up the running orders. He is now, it looks like, sitting in position 14 overall. And what an incredible story. That car as well entered this event with a little bit of transmission issues, ABS, speed sensor, and all the complexity of the wiring system on that car. He entered in a little bit handicapped, but he's been able to keep the car underneath him, move up the pack, and he's still in the race, which is great. Chris Coffey and that Norwood Auto Italia Maserati.
Yeah, he's chasing down Tyler Hoffman, and between them is the leader of SGT. That's Lee Saunders. Lee Saunders, of course, a local man from Florida, loves that Viper. Great to have him back in the championship, the former champion himself. So we are at the back of the circuit, waiting for a restart, which hopefully will take us to the checkered flag. A sprint, if you will, a short number of laps. There's Lee Saunders.
Absolutely, and just behind Chris Coffey, the race is on, but leading that pack, if I believe, is that Audi R8.
Yeah.
Beautiful car, and that is Hoffman, I believe?
Yep, Tyler Hoffman.
Tyler Hoffman and the Bennett Bridge Hall pit boxes. Audi R8 is leading that class, and that's a fierce battle. Those guys are going to be nose to tail when this thing goes green, and we've got 11 laps to go.
Yeah, there's a long way to go, yeah. And it's also Mercedes of Lowry versus Porsche 911 of Nathan Bird in XGT. XGT, if you're wondering, was Super GT was the original class, and then GT, and then we brought Extreme GT into the fold just to allow more cars of that kind of ilk to come in. And Ken Thwaites, who you're watching out on track right now, was the first to win in an Audi R8 in that class, and so it's about 3 years old now, and still starting to get more and more cars, and different cars too. Great to have the Mercedes on board this year.
Yeah, great job from Ken thus far. Started 11th, has moved his way up through 9th, kept the car clean and underneath him, and he's staring down the barrel of a lot of really great drivers, but it looks like we might be going green.
Yes, we will. The Honda Civic's lights are off, which means Justin Marks in the Trackhouse 99 leads the way. Same number as Suarez, so nice kick back to his own team there. And behind him, though, Matthew Brabham, desperate for a win. Every time he wins, he makes the headlines. Can he beat a NASCAR team manager here? We go! Good restart also by Tommy Dreese. He's got on the outside as he did last time, and he's already challenging for 3rd place now coming into the first corner.
Yep, we've got all that bodywork shaking on Boris Said of the Dodge Challenger. The damage, unfortunately, the front splitter.
So Tommy Dreese just behind Boris Said as they dive into 3 then. Andretti still 3rd. Boris still 4th, and then we're on board with 5th place Tommy.
Dreese's got great forward drive, it looks like. Despite all the ambient conditions working against him, he's got plenty of power to put down as he chases down Boris, who has that bodywork damage and a move.
Here comes Andretti. And in fact, Brabham and Andretti have both gone past Marks. I wonder if Marks made a mistake or has really got into trouble, because he's now gone right off track and slowed right down the puncher, I reckon.
It's possible that he had a brake failure going into turn 7.
Okay.
And we heard that tire locking up, and now he's kind of getting off the run surface. And that's kind of what you have to do when you have a brake failure. So unknown exactly what's going on, but it looks like possible issues for the 99.
What a shame. Justin Marks was doing everything right, and suddenly it all went up in flames. Drive-through for the restart potentially for Tommy Dreese. We'll see if it happens. but he was very quick off the mark on the restart. So that would be another twist to the tail. It's all happening today. So the leader has gone out. Matt Brabham now leads this race for the Dyson Racing team. Tommy Dreese is in second place, but is he? Because if he's got a drive-through, that will all come to naught, and that will move Boris Said with that damaged car up the board, and Andretti's got a chance of a win here.
Absolutely. Adam Andretti in that all-Graham Ford Mustang is now putting pressure on the leader, Matt Brabham. Dreese, I saw him come across the line somehow 4 wide. Certainly it looks like it might be worth a drive-through penalty. We'll see if he serves it. But regardless of that.
He does.
He does. Okay, so Matt Brabham and Adam Andretti are now fighting for the lead of this race, and Ken Thwaites moves his way up yet again.
So, Dreese in the pits. He does serve his drive-through penalty. There's our XGT battle, a beautiful yellow headlighted Mercedes coming at us into turn 1 in the 42.
What a beautiful GT3 Mercedes.
I know.
Reminds me of the Joker Racing from Mark Austin, whose home is in Texas. Not here for this race, but very well will join the series later in the year. Another great-looking Mercedes.
Yeah, if you ever get a close-up look at one of those cars, they are amazing to watch, and the intakes on the front are just huge.
The hood, the venting, and the efficiency of the aero through the front of that car is really a work of art.
So what a change around in this race. It's all happened in just a matter of minutes as we look at Ken Thwaites again, who's back in the fray, so to speak, as we go on board with him.
Yep, safety workers again. Shout out to all the safety workers that it looked like are grabbing the 99 at Justin Marks as the race goes on with a local yellow. Ken Thwaites is in now the top 5, staring down Wally Dallenbach, who is in the Historics TA. And this is just another great battle. This is incredible. We've got battles in the front, the mid, and back of the pack. And it looks like Chris Coffey's making some way too as he shakes and bakes through the traffic.
What a story. Wally Dallenbach in the top 5. In fact, he was runner-up here last year in this race. But this is such a more dramatic race than was last year, with Matt Brabham now leading the way. We've had several different leaders. Obviously, Justin Marks led for a bit. Dyson held on for a second, but then he conked out. Now it's Brabham's turn. Andretti's behind him. You can see it through the heat haze. And they are teammates, remember. They're both representing. One in the all-Graham car, one in the Jim Week car, but obviously Dyson going out. And a drive-through penalty for Dreese. So we get ready for what should be 7 laps of absolute pure adrenaline. Here come the XGT boys. Randy Hale chasing down that Mercedes.
Some more splitter damage from the black Ford Mustang TA car on the inside of turn 17. Super easy to do as you see these cars bounce over these bumps, the suspension, the bodywork, the chassis itself just being abused completely as they drive so hard through that turn. Lee Saunders in that incredible Dodge Viper giving it all he's got.
Yep, Lee Saunders leading in SGT, leading in XGT, it's Danny Lowry. There's the 91 coming through shot. That's Tyler Hoffman. He's in GT. So it's all big change around.
I'm getting word that Boris Said's in pit lane for a right front tire.
So Boris also, it's not been a good day at the office for the Poncho Weaver team. And 2 great challengers, but sadly not able to challenge either of them today. Paul Menard going out, and looks as though Boris Said is going to follow suit as he comes into the pit. So it's Brabham, Andretti, now Keith Grant. We've hardly mentioned him. He's come from nowhere. And Keith Grant, who was on the podium in his first ever TA race, is back in the hot seat. Dallenbach up to 4th place. Ken Thwaites is 5th.
That's important to be there in the end, and that's what Kent's got going on, and Matt Brabham, and absolutely so much going on. It looks like some splitter repair with some high-strength adhesive tape going on the 24 right now for TA. If you have damage to the front of your car in that bodywork, what it can do is it can disrupt the cooling of the radiator.
Yeah.
And if you're not moving air through that core, your engine temp's going to go through the roof almost immediately.
Well, we've seen it in mid-Ohio, and you'll remember this, that when you get grass in the grill, which often happens with the grass being so close at mid-Ohio, that it gets in the grill, and like you say, your engine temperature, I remember it happening to Ernie Francis Jr., his temperatures went through the roof. Yep. And they had to come in.
Say you're doing absolutely what you should be doing as a driver, and the car in front of you puts 2 tires off into the grass. suddenly the car behind has a front duct that's nearly completely clogged, and you got yourself a problem. And it looks like Ken Thwaites got around Wally. This is awesome racing here as they fly through turn 1. More of those bumps that we're talking about as these cars are just hauling the mail.
Absolutely. Wally Dolenbach, one of the greats, multiple TA champion or Trans Am champion, coming back to throw his hook at some more racing and just as quick as ever. But now Thwaites is ahead of him in 4th place and now chasing down Keith Grant, who will want that podium badly as Adam Andretti continues in 2nd and Matt Brabham continues to lead this race.
The acceleration of these cars, 2,500 pounds, almost 900 horsepower in some cases.
Yeah.
This, it's wild. The tires are huge. This is like go-kart racing on steroids here. And we're seeing 2 vets right now, door to door at Sebring.
Well, let me ask you a question. You talk about unlimited. Where's the point of no return? If you had 1,000 horsepower, you wouldn't get any grip, would you?
That's the thing. Like when the conditions allow, running on 7 cylinders versus 8 could help you. Like, for example, Lime Rock in the rain. Less power usually means more grip, more forward drive. These cars, you really got to be on top of the throttle pedal.
Ken Thwaites is exactly doing that at the moment. You can see his RPM, you can see the gauge, the actual gauge above where it tells him where to change gear and what's going on with the revs.
Yep. Oh, he's wide again. He's wide again in 14.
That's where he was wide earlier.
It was, but I saw his speed at 156 miles an hour through Bishop's Bend. That's the fastest I've seen him yet. So he overdid it a little bit, gained some time, and then lost some time.
On board with Ken Thwaites, great character. Full throttle down the Oldham Straight and down into the last corner. Now he brakes heavily. Just blipping the throttle as he goes through. Here comes the Mercedes again. This has been a good battle, and in fact, they're going to be overall. Danny Lowry, 6th overall, but leading in XGT. Fantastic stuff.
Absolutely, and we're going to be looking at 5 laps to go here shortly. And at this point, I think it could still be Adam's race. We're not quite sure, but Adam could very well have this one won if he can catch Matt Brabham, who's still leading the front of the TA pack.
So then, we'll go through the rest of them. In GT, Tyler Hoffman leading the way over Billy Griffin and Chris Coffey. We've seen the battle for XGT. We're watching it right now. Danny Lowry leading it ahead of Nathan Bird in the 911. Tommy Dreesy has dropped down to 8th after his drive-through. Lee Saunders still leading in SGT, the Floridan in the Dodge Viper, 9th overall but leading. Go back on board with Tommy Dreesy, who's back out on track after that drive-through. And the reason for that drive-through, if you missed it, he just got too good a start. He went to the outside at the restart, and obviously Hoots and his team looked at it and said, no, a little too quick off the draw there, Tommy.
Yep, so the rule is in Trans Am, on the initial start as well as the restarts, you cannot pop out or pass before the start-finish line.
Okay.
And that is what Dreesy did. And you know what? Credit to his guys calling the green, because maybe they were on it a little bit better than the cars in front, and he tried to take advantage of it. But too much of a good thing is ultimately bad, and he had to serve a drive-through penalty as a result.
Not with ice cream, right?
Not with ice cream or any type of sugary sweet.
Just checking.
Exactly.
No, you're absolutely right. You want to hit it on the mark. It's like anything. It's like, hitting the gun on 100 meters. You just want to hit it as it goes to green. And sometimes you can misjudge it, but if you get it right on the number, you can really make up a lot of difference. And he did do just that. Yep. But he got penalized, and that's the way it goes.
You can see the language of Dreesy's car as he goes through the minimum speed part of the turn. The front of the car is washing side to side a little bit, and he's losing grip. He's getting everything he can and more out of the tire, and the car starts to slide around as a result as he slams the brakes into 17 and just absolutely hauls it over these big bumps. Look at that fireball.
Now, we just heard that Justin Marks lost voltage alarm on his power system. Does that mean anything to you? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, so, just like your traditional road car, these cars have alternators, usually driven by a drive shaft or potentially by the engine. And if you get any dirt or debris or enough of that or a cooling duct problem, it'll overheat, it'll stop producing the necessary voltage to run the car. And then you're sitting there, and that may be what happened to the 99.
You see, they use sophisticated lingo on me. If you'd have said the alternator went, well, I'd have got it. So this battle between Dollenbach and Ken Thwaites. Ken will be enjoying this. This is one of the greats of Trans Am that Ken is trying to hold off right here. And I think Wally's enjoying it too.
Absolutely, they're fighting for a top 5. These are critical points, so Ken's going to do everything he can to keep him behind, but as you can see, he's just not sticking to that apex curbing as you would like. The tires are probably, you know, nearly at the end of their life, the brakes, etc. And let's not forget how torturous it can be on the driver themselves to wheel these things for 100 miles.
Yeah, no kidding. Ultimate Headers are the sponsors of Wally's car, and they put in a good performance this weekend. Ken doing everything in his power to hold him off. He comes through that section where he's made a few mistakes today.
Oh,
no problems
Ken.
this time.
Yep, again, not getting to the inside. He's not getting to the inside there like he needs to. So he's definitely got his hands full with this car and all of his power. But he's doing a great job keeping a real vet behind him.
Yeah, let's see how close Wally gets to him this time as they dive towards the last corner, Sunset Bend.
We can see his hands inside on the lower left there as he pushes that car through, and all those bumps on his body, his helmet shaking side to side as he works his way back to the throttle pedal, all the way to the wall, doing everything he can. Yeah,
he's actually done a good job because Wally was closer, and so in a straight line, there's no question that the power of Ken's car, the Camaro, the Franklin Road Apparel Camaro, of course, that's his company in Nashville, Tennessee. And now the Showtime Franklin and Road Apparel car team growing exponentially, certainly in TA2. And Ken making this his last TA year. And I think he'll go back to managing what is a very vast team now in TA2. 24 of the 27 gone. All sorts of battles throughout. Here comes your SGT leader. That's Lee Saunders, great character, loves the Viper, has been with it forever in those colors and that number. Since I started doing Trans Am, and he's always great to talk to. Tends not to go to the West Coast, stays on the East side, but you'll see Lee Saunders in action as the season goes on, and he's 9th overall as well. That's a good result for him too. As we take a look at the Griffin, former GT champion in the Griffin Auto Care Sheehan Racing car.
A bit of a spread between P1 and 2 there with Scott Griffin in that Ford Mustang chasing down the Audi R8.
Yeah, there he is. Griffin also basing himself here in Florida. So there's some 5 Florida-based drivers involved in this race this weekend, so good to see. And a lot of them in action, actually, including David Pictaric over the winter and the SEC runoffs and getting prizes and points in other championships, just keeping themselves honed in for the season ahead. Of course, Connor Zillage winning in the Miatas. And no change at the front. Brabham Andretti still going at it, but Brabham's got a healthy lead now over Andretti. Keith Grant holding on to 3rd place, and Ken Thwaites still 4th. As we look at the number 40 coming through our shot.
Absolutely, you know, flying out of turn 1, the number 40, and that is another Showtime car.
Keith Grant, of course, looking for a good result here. Yeah, I forgot, of course, Showtime. Keith Grant in that stable and just really making his way in TA. He's been doing a lot of sports car racing. The Grants have a heavy presence here, but first time we've really seen Keith at the sharp end. We saw him briefly last year, and now he's very confident indeed here in Trans Am and looking for this podium here. Currently in 3rd position, 25 of the 27 to go. Joe Stevens and Johnny Green bringing you the action from TA here in the sunshine of Sebring. Don't forget, all the highlights of both TA2 and TA will be on MAV TV if you want to catch it again and tell your friends about the fastest growing motorsport and the best growing motorsport in the US of A, and it's muscle cars. Trans Am, Brabham leading the way. I'm sure Sir Jack would be very proud to see a member of his family running around in America as Sir Jack did back in the day, and of course as Jeff, John and many others have done for the Brabhams. It's great to see.
Yep, I'm just getting word from pit lane that Matt Brabham just doing his best to maintain the gap. The Jim Weed car is absolutely flying, and it seems to be doing everything that the driver asks. So right now, it's just making sure we maintain this gap, don't over or underdo it. We are nearing the checkered flag here.
Yep, and there's the all-ground number 21 of Adam Andretti, and this would be a 1-2 for Chris Dyson, and that's more important perhaps for Chris if he can't finish the race to get his other 2 steers in a 1-2 situation is the perfect start. And in fact, it was Dyson's birthday on Friday. I had a brief chat with him, and he said, you know what? I said, yeah, you brought in some British, you brought in Brabham, you brought in Andretti, and he said, you know what? I just want to get off to a good start to the season, and it hasn't gone well for him, but that's why you do that. That's why you bring in other drivers and why it's worth the expense of doing so. Dyson, not afraid to spend the money if it's money well spent.
Yep, absolutely. And let's not forget, Tommy Dreese, following that drive-through, has worked his way up to 6th, and he's going almost 4 seconds faster per lap than the car in front, which is the number 4 of Wally Dallenbach.
All right, we're going to try and see if we can find the number 8 out on track. He's 6th, as you say, behind Wally Dallenbach. We're watching second place Adam Andretti as he weaves his way through the track, just trying to maintain everything. This will be an important one for Adam. He was up here in the commentary booth. It's an important season for Adam Andretti. He's been around Trans Am a long time. He's a great driver. He's capable of either TA or TA2 or anything else you want to throw him in. But he really wants to turn around what was a tough season for the three-dimensional services team last year. Didn't have many highs, quite a few lows. A lot not his fault at all. And Matos thinking he'd won the championship as teammate, but in the end it went through a countback, and sadly they lost out to, of course, Thomas Merrill, who was absolutely delighted with his first Trans Am victory.
Yep, what a crazy end of the TA2 season last year, and an incredible start to it this year.
So here comes Matt Brabham out of the heat haze in the pink and white. Jim Weed, number 20.
Yep, just getting around Chris Coffey in that amazing Maserati, the Auto Italia Maserati, nice. A gorgeous car out there. And he's still hanging in third, Chris Coffey. So here we see the leader coming out of turn 17, and the white flag flies. 1 more lap to go. 1
more lap to go for Matthew Brabham of Australia. And I would say America too, because he's been here ever since pretty much. Grew up racing here. And obviously following in the footsteps of David and Jeff. And the Brabhams that have come before, an absolute legacy in Australian racing, just as the Andrettis are here, and so many other families that have raced here in different iterations. Great to see them all racing together here in Trans Am. We had Parnelli Jones represented, we had Richard Petty represented by himself, of course.
Oh man, this car is still flying as it comes into turn 7. And it looks like, a slight off track from the 14 there as he exits 7 as Matt Brabham moves towards the checkered flag.
Yeah, Billy Griffin taking avoiding action. I don't know what he did there. Maybe he was unsighted there a little bit, didn't expect the leaders to be coming through, but he went off onto the grass for a second. But yeah, absolutely on rails at the moment, Adam and Matt Brabham in both of their Ford Mustangs.
Yep. Hats off to the Dyson crew. Unfortunately, a vibration ended Chris Dyson's race, but we've got 2 of the Chris Dyson cars up front, and they've done a wonderful job here this race.
Well, they used to call it the Pony Wars as the Mustangs took on all comers, and this war has definitely been a war of attrition, and it's been won by the ponies of Ford Mustang as Brabham and Andretti march on to what will be a famous victory for the Dyson Racing team. And it has been an immaculate performance by both drivers. Sadly, Chris Dyson coming to a stop, not quite sure why, but either way, he does not get to finish the race. Coming across the line in third will be Keith Grant if he holds it all together. But here comes your leader and winner, Matthew Brabham, into the Sunset Bend for the last time. And it was an accomplished performance by Matthew Brabham, who wins here at Sebring.
Awesome job. Just an incredible drive from Matt for this race. And Adam Andretti right there. P1 and 2 come across the line. Awesome. Keith Grant, let's not forget. Excellent. P3, last step on the podium. And not far behind him, Ken Thwaites, who had an amazing hard charge from 11th to 4th. Just an incredible drive.
That is, in terms of points, Ken Thwaites going to be well happy with his day at the office. He made a few mistakes, is obviously not 100% happy with the car itself, but to come back the way he has is absolutely incredible. Wally Dallenbach takes 5th. Tommy Dreese, likewise, similar story, to finish 6th after all the trials and tribulations of a drive-through and the problems he had to do of starting at the back. Great result. Danny Lowry wins in XGT ahead of Nathan Bird. Lee Saunders wins in SGT. Tyler Hoffman in GT. He wins and takes 10th overall.